Sometimes you can appreciate a thing even if you don't really like it that much. Berserk or Die. This is the new game from the same developers that brought us Vampire Survivors, that insanely addictive game from a few years ago that I think I put in my top pieces of entertainment for that year after it came out. And this is their latest offering. And it is similar in some ways and different in others. And the ways in which it's different is what makes me not think I'm going to engage with it too much. But I also appreciate it. So, Berserk or Die is 2D. To call it side scrolling is a bit misleading. It is on a single plane, but you don't have movement controls. All you have is attack to the left and attack to the right. And you can, keep hitting it. And it's not even a certain, so like if you're playing it on a keyboard, which is kind of the intended experience, basically on the letter keys, try and stick to the letter keys. You start hitting other stuff and you can activate other stuff on your computer by accident. But any button on the right half of your keyboard attacks to the right. Any button on the left hand half attacks to the left, with the intended mode of play to be just kind of bashing at keys. It's a neat idea. It can also be played with a controller, but I do think it isn't quite embracing the intended experience of the thing. But it can play with a controller if you'd rather do that and have a slightly more subdued experience. But you just deal with waves of enemies coming from each side, intermittent breaks where you get a chance to upgrade some stuff, and then eventually a boss for the area. And it is tapping into, or at least attempting to tap into, some of the similar stuff that Vampire Survivors did in terms of the dopamine hits, in terms of the steadily unlocking, especially early on, like unlocking a lot of stuff. The thing is, certainly when compared to Vampire Survivors, it feels way more repetitive. With Vampire Survivors, especially early on, the stuff that you're unlocking is, new weapons, new characters to play as that maybe aren't vastly different, but are different enough to really make you, want to try again with a different approach. There really isn't that much of a different approach, at least not that I found in the time that I've played. I'll admit to having not played it for that long. But if there are some unlocks that give it more of a shake-up, then they should come sooner than they do, because I haven't encountered them within the first couple of hours of playing. And that is kind of the thing that makes me reluctant to spend more time with it. The other thing being that, like, Vampire Survivors, part of what it was neat about it is like you only had to worry about movement. You didn't have to worry about attacking at the right time. The attacks were all automatic. Here, they took away the movement and it's all attack, which sounds like it should be comparable. Like, you still only have to worry about one thing, except it's a far more active thing. Like, it's not that I'm saying you could nod off in Vampires. Well, depending on what your loadout was on the back half and how powerful you were, you could nod off. But there's something about having to specifically hit, things that and get your timing right, even if you're just bashing away, that just feels more active and a bit less relaxed than, just keep moving out of the way of obstacles that you had in Vampire Survivors. And what I think I ultimately mean when I say I appreciate it, but I don't really enjoy it, is that I appreciate that they took a similar mentality that they brought to Vampire Survivors to a different kind of game. And I like that they are experimenting. I like that they are, trying something else, trying a different way to hit similar feelings of feeling rewarded. I don't think it quite hits the mark, but I really appreciate the attempt. I especially appreciate the attempt because it's a cheap game. Like Vampire Survivors itself, it's under $5, which I think makes a lot of difference. I think if you're going to make a game this stripped down, and it's certainly compared to your previous work, this kind of experimental, because Vampire Survivors ultimately was more than anything an honest and non-predatory version of the kind of game that at the time it was released was frequently advertised like in ads on YouTube for mobile games. But those versions were all loaded with monetization and predatory tactics and all this other stuff, and Vampire Survivors stripped all that out and said, hey, what if we just gave you all the dopamine hits? And that's great. Whereas this is a little bit less of a proven formula. Because with Vampire Survivors, they were able to take something that definitely worked, but was being done in a real scuzzy way and just strip the scuzz out of it and just give you the good stuff. Here, they're trying to build something a little bit more unique, and I absolutely admired the attempt. I love the creative spirit at the heart of this game. I don't know if I'll play it much more, though. But again, the fact that it is cheap, like it is something I really appreciate about the mentality of this developer, is that they are making something that if they were to charge more for, would make you go, really? But then if you get sucked into it for the amount they do charge, you just get so much out of it. Like, I've put hundreds of hours into Vampire Survivors, and I've happily bought every DLC they've put out. I don't think I'll do that for Berserk or Die, but again, keeping that same pricing model makes me willing to roll the dice on them. So whatever they come out with next, I may not necessarily expect it to suck me in the way Vampire Survivors did, because clearly this didn't. But if they can stick to their principles on it, I'll always happily give them a shot, because I really like the way that they approach development and the publishing of these things. So this is a more interesting game to talk about within the context of the other work this studio has done than it is to talk about as a game. Because as a game, it is just... and it just isn't... It isn't as rewarding. Also, the art style, I think, might be part of that. Because with Vampire Survivors, you would get bigger and different monsters coming in over time. And like when you see a wave of a monster you haven't seen before, you're like, ooh, here it's a lot of 2D silhouettes, pretty well animated, to be clear. And yeah, some of them are different. Some of them have different weapons, but they all kind of look like dudes. It's just a dude with a different weapon. The bosses bring a little bit more to it, but yeah, it doesn't feel as... It feels smaller. And in an odd way, it feels like it more justifies the low price point, whereas Vampire Survivors, you got a shockingly large amount of stuff for what you paid. Here, it's like, yeah, that's actually about what I'd expect to get for that price. Or at least that's what I got. Maybe if you get sucked into it in a way that I didn't, it'll really give you like as much value. It just didn't for me in this case. Berserk or Die. You played it. What'd you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills, enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lupfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pal Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Don't worry, the rats are all fine, but my rat wrangler is not here right now, and I thought we could have Archie say hi. Or not.